Hola amigos, Doug Cameron here in Austin, Texas, and we're on the side of a new project, so very exciting. This is going to be called Little Texas Wonderland, so y'all watch out for this. And the video today is going to be all about when you're getting ready to do a project, you're not really loving your house anymore, and you want to do something new, and you give a call to a guy like me, in this case a design build company, and we come out and this is kind of how the conversation goes. So we step back, we look at this home together, we bring our architect associate on site, we bring the owners of the design build company on site, which was myself and my partner Lily, and we have the clients here, right, who are homeowners at that time. And they're getting ready to have a child and grow their family and are just ready for an all-around bigger, better house. So we meet, we analyze the situation first, right? We've got to get to know our surroundings. So we do a walk around the outside perimeter to better understand our space. I just happen to have gone to high school less than 5 minutes away from here. So I've walked up and down these streets many a time. So it was a fun one for me to cruise on. But anyway, so we check out the perimeter of the house, we check out the outside, we see what we're working with, and then we go inside the house and we see what we're working with inside the house as well. Are there any very important elements of the home that we need to maintain or save? Again, what can we do? So we're talking feasibility, right? So in this particular case, I presented to the clients once I heard that they wanted more space, wanted room for the baby, wanted the offices, all these good things, a very low budget option, believe it or not. So I'm a pretty honest guy. And I just said, hey, if you want to save money, what you do is you segregate this space right here from the new space you're going to build. You try to keep it as separate as possible, and you just create this additional square footage on your property, and you do it in a way that conforms to the footprint maximums within your given space within the city, right? So there's always limitations to that. And then they took that information and they said, that sounds cool, and that is a good option, but we're thinking a little bit bigger in this situation. We want to go something more long-term and big picture, and we're thinking kind of we just want to redo the whole house. So I say, okay, well, if that's kind of where you're headed with the situation, then we have an approach for that too. And what we're going to do here is we're going to more than likely demolish a lot of this home or a portion of this home, right? So then the next steps are, what portions of the home should we consider maintaining, right? And that goes back to the emotions of the client, also the architectural relevance of the particular house. And we were looking for things like exterior cladding, interior flooring, roof cover, sometimes decks, anything that we could potentially reuse that would work. So long story short, in this particular situation, believe it or not, guys, as sustainably minded as we are, there wasn't a whole lot that we all loved about this house. So I'll show you inside here in a moment and we'll take a look. So cruise with me and we'll head over here and see why we decided to demolish this entire house. So we're here on the back deck, and believe it or not, this back deck was one of the only elements of the home that the clients actually really liked because they had recently redone this with their own two hands. And so it's totally understandable, right? Even if it doesn't make a lot of sense financially. And so we said, cool, we'll do everything we can to maintain this deck, whether it means we're taking it apart and storing it and putting it back. But at the end of the day, we're gonna make sure it all makes sense and communicate all the variables to you before we make that final decision. But inside, we just didn't find a whole lot, right? So we had this, all the electricity's off and stuff right now because this is getting ready to go down. But the flooring was like this kind of inexpensive bamboo. It was having cupping in some areas, wasn't really anything impressive or noteworthy. The wall texture wasn't anything nice. The kitchen was just, it wasn't anything cool. The counters were not anything we wanted to go back with. And again, we were hunting and searching, seeing if there's anything relevant to save and just not finding a whole lot here. So we're trying to be good stewards of this project and of these clients' money. And we're thinking, the best way to get you a good result, the quickest in this case, is just going to be to knock all this down and start over. So that's exactly what we've chosen to do. And Little Texas Wonderland is set to be demolished in about a month. We've taken some steps to kind of get that going. We'll follow up in a further video with that. But the one portion of the home that we were able to maintain that we were actually very excited about is what I'm standing on right now. And I'm not talking about the flooring, I'm talking about the foundation, right? So anytime you've got to actually demolish and remove a foundation, it can become extremely costly, especially if you have really deep footings, because you've got to bring in all this heavy equipment and be able to get all that out of there, and then you've got to load all that up and drive that somewhere. It's very heavy and it's very expensive. So anytime we're on an existing foundation that we have a good chance of utilizing over again, we really try to, and we work very closely with our structural engineer. In this case, it was Rolando Jaimes with PCW. And we do everything we can to use the foundation in every way we can. Now, we almost always end up souping up that foundation. In this case, we're going to add a little bit to it, to this footprint, just barely. And then we're going to add deep perimeter footings all around, and then we'll also do some interior footings. And we'll make sure that the foundation is nice and strong and can stand here for at least 100 years. And that's how we really want to build everything. And that's the reason why we decided to take all this other stuff down, is because we're in it for the long haul and we want this to last well over a century. So that is pretty much the basis of why we decided to take this down. In terms of feasibility and what happens, usually there's a conversation with spatial elements, and we present our clients, especially if we know we're going new with a new structure, we present our clients with different spaces, different boxes, different circles, different, spaces that will fit inside their tent, is what it's called when you're working in a McMansion area like we are in the inner city, where you have to have certain rules and guidelines, and you can't go up too high, you can't go out too wide, because you don't want to dwarf the house next to you. So there's all these variables that we have to keep in mind. And so we want to come to them initially, early on with the feasibility, with different spatial equations that would work nicely on their site. In this particular case, they ended up liking going up to a 2-story, which made a lot of sense here and does in a lot of inner city buildings. And they also wanted to be very deck-centric, meaning they wanted to add a lot of decks off of the back of this home. So we have multiple decks off the back, we've got a deck off the front, and we came up with a really nice equation, y'all. So I'm looking very forward to sharing that with you in the future. But yeah, back to feasibility, pretty much that's how that goes. You go, you check out the space, you see what you can do spatially with the new structure, you make sure the clients like it, and when you get an okay and they check that box, then you start moving forward and you start filling in the blanks with details like window openings and roof design and all that sort of thing. And next thing you know, you've got a nice, beautiful rendering to show. You've got some emotion now involved in the situation. Everybody's excited. Then you bring in an interior designer. My wife, Lily, brought Kim Lewis on as the interior designer on this one, and it's just been fabulous to work with her. We're doing a Alice in Wonderland style theme here, where every interior room is going to be a different space with different features, different vibe, different feel, and it's going to be so stinking cool. So definitely check out that Little Texas Wonderland hashtag on Instagram and follow along. As far as the Build Show Network and my involvement here, I want to give you all a friendly heads up that this is going to be my last video on the Build Show Network. So I'm going to be moving on to my YouTube channel, Design Build Diaries, and y'all can always catch me on Instagram at Design Build Doug. And I've really enjoyed bringing content to each and every one of y'all, so I really hope you stay tuned, both on the Build Show Network with all the wonderful contributors that they have, as well as my platform. So thank you very much. Without any further ado, adios amigos.